Hi, my name is Karime Reina, and today I will be talking about rewatching movies and how it affects your relationships with other people and how it really develops your understanding of your own language and learning other languages. So, first of all, growing up, I was a first generation student. I was the first in my house to go to college. I was the first to graduate high school. My parents were immigrants from Mexico, so they didn't really know much of what was going on here in the United States. And because we were from Mexico, we were a Spanish-speaking household, and that was the main language that we spoke most of the time. And I was the first child, so I did have a lot of time to myself, a lot of time to think and to watch movies like Finding Nemo. I remember Finding Nemo being one of the first movies that I watched at home. I watched it a lot with my parents. I watched it by myself. I watched it in Spanish several times. And it's a very pivotal point of me rewatching movies a lot. So through elementary and high school, I had a lot of movies that I would watch and rewatch, not only in Spanish, but in English. I had just begun to learn English in middle school. So it was kind of a learning hump, um, having to watch movies and shows in English and having to communicate with others in English. I would rewatch the same DVDs in Spanish, and I would watch the movies until I could memorize the entire movie. Later on, I transitioned on to watching the DVDs in English when I knew the whole Spanish versions. And once I started understanding more of English, I could correlate the words that I knew in Spanish to English and hence develops my speaking. I started developing more relationships with others through watching movies. I remember showing up to school and knowing all of Shrek in Spanish, and then talking to a lot of my friends about Shrek and how much we all enjoyed watching it. So throughout college, I started going to the movies more since I started knowing more English. I started to enjoy more movies with friends. I would go with family, I would go with friends, I would watch it once with family, watch it a second time with friends, and I would develop different understandings of the movie whenever I would go with different groups of people. In addition to that, I also started watching movies at home. So the movies that I would watch in theaters, started to enjoy and I would start watching at home. One of those would be Interstellar. I loved the movie when it came out, and I started watching it whenever I had any friends over, and it really developed our relationships with each other. So during COVID, I was already in college and I had already started taking some language courses, and I developed a passion for Korean. So, as I developed my Korean, I started watching more foreign movies, which also developed my language. It would let me listen to how they would enunciate, listen to any um, vocal points in their language, and it would let me repeat phrases back and forth. And I would go back and watch and read the subtitles, and I would try to get faster at reading the subtitles. I would listen to it in English, I would listen to it in Korean, and vice versa. It was a different time period for me. And then during COVID, I had the opportunity to sign up for a translation to movies course at UTSA. It was a master's or graduate level course, and I was just really interested in translation in movies. And it was a big passion of mine to be able to combine both films and movies and translations all into one. So while I was at study abroad, it really increased my speed of language learning. I remember going to Cupin university and I connected with native speakers about films. We talked a lot about children's films, which were the easiest to understand in a foreign language. So I remember at the time I went during the summer of 2022, and that was when the Minions were really popular, and the Minions movie was coming out. So I had the opportunity to watch the Minions movie while I was over there. I also rewatched some of my favorite movies in Korean. I watched Finding Nemo. I watched Interstellar. I watched a lot of Studio Ghibli films, which are my favorite. And my friends, while I was in Korea, also really enjoyed those films. So we got to experience them both in Korean and in English. Um, while I was at study abroad, I decided to add on a second major in modern languages, and I ended up finishing up my second bachelor's in modern languages and literature as well at UTSA. So post grad, right now, um, I still rewatch movies. I have so much fun rewatching movies. I will rewatch movies all week, all day. I enjoy watching them with the same group of people, with different groups of people. It's a different experience every single time. It helps me build not only friendships and relationships, but develop my language and intonation. It helps me develop my communication skills, and it just brings happiness to everyone involved. It's a really great thing, and I think everyone should be rewatching movies more often. Don't mind my dog, she's crying. So these are the links to the pictures I had, and thank you.